following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And it is time for Mick Shots. Bill Jones, Mickey Spagnola, Everson Walls, and what a great time to be a football fan in America, as it is football time not only in Texas but all across the great USA. A lot of people didn't think we'd be at this point eventually, but we've got cut down day in the NFL on Saturday, and the Cowboys have begun preparations as we speak for the Los Angeles Rams a week from Sunday. Mickey, it's a great time to be alive in America, isn't it?
Oh, it certainly is, Bill. And you know what? We had football outdoors on a grass field today for practice. So moving right along, that new field is down and ready to go. Didn't rain any here this morning, so the Cowboys were able to practice outdoors. And, yeah, I don't know if everybody thought we were going to get to this point, but we're here, and it looks like it just might work, at least for this first week of the season.
Everson, we're getting this season ready to go just under the gun, just like Mickey got here for Mick Shots just under the gun, right?
Well, whether I like it or not, I'm the pessimist of this group, and I must admit, I didn't even think we'd get this far. So I'm a little bit optimistic now. My optimism was a little bit tapered today because I thought Mick was going to miss the whole show.
All right, so you want me to pull back the curtain and tell you what happened?
Yes,
please do.
I was in dire need to go to the eye doctor because my glasses, I sat on them, and they were no longer workable. They were about in bad shape as my bicycle, okay? So now...
So you haven't been riding your bike, so your ass is probably pretty big right now, right?
Yeah, right. No, I've been riding the stationary bike.
You know what?
Well, I tell you what,
I got a headset to use now because I was going to use Douglas Barraclow's office because he hadn't been coming in. Well, he came in today. So anyway, I had an eye doctor appointment, and I rushed back here just in time to do my fan report that's usually at 12:20, but it was at 11:20 today because I think the Rangers had an afternoon game.
Yep.
So I walked in just as they were going to me, and then I told them I have to be done at 11:30, and so we were done at 11:30, and here I am.
I don't know about that, Spags. If this was Eddie Robinson or Tom Landry, you would have been fined. If you're on time, you are late. Let's remember that, sir.
Yeah, and for Joe Avezzano's on time, I was 10 minutes late.
And Mickey, there are a lot of people who think you sat on your glasses a long time ago, and so they're very happy to hear that you now have glasses where you
now
can actually
I get some
see
new
the
ones, so
players
maybe you
there.
can see right?
So what's your take on this football team now as we are now down to 48 hours away, a little over 48 hours away from the cut-down time in the NFL, get down to 53. Had a practice this morning. They were in pads this morning, weren't they? Final padded practice?
Yes, they were.
Preseason, and got another practice on Saturday, but obviously the decisions will be made by then on this 53-man roster.
Yeah, absolutely. And they started making the decisions yesterday. I believe it was up to 7 guys that they released. And really the only 2 guys, of somewhat note would have been Devin Smith, who was on the team last year. I don't know what happened to him. He didn't have a good training. He just didn't do anything in training camp to kind of stand out. So they let him go, and then Adam Redmond, who was on IR, the backup center guard candidate, they also let him go. So, those were the only 2. Mitch Hyatt had He's going to need knee surgery. They released him injured. I'm sure he'll clear waivers and he'll go back onto injured reserve. So they started whittling down the 80 to get to 53. And, if you look at it, Bill, they've got a few decisions to make here and there, but nothing major, I don't think, and I don't see any. We get to this point and it's always, is there going to be a veteran that's going to get let go that you didn't expect? And I just don't see that happening.
Now, Devin Smith, that was the young man from Ohio State, correct?
Correct. Right. And he
wide
made
receiver.
The team. Remember, he had the really good game. The first game he got in there. And then he kind of faded, and one of the reasons why is he didn't play special teams, and so they started using Ventel Bryant, who, by the way, a couple days ago suffered a knee. Well, it was at the Cowboys night, right, Bill? He suffered the knee injury in the warm-up drills. So, it was a shame because I thought this guy had some talent, and he certainly
I did too. Speed. I did too, Spags. I really did.
And they just couldn't find a spot for him. So, maybe it was one of those things where they do a veteran guy a favor, let him go early, give him an opportunity to latch on maybe with somebody else.
No, that would be a good thing because, and Bill will talk about it. You've got a great talent coming in as CeeDee Lamb. That kind of ups the ante just a little bit. You got to bring it now. Whatever you were doing last year, which was, somewhat adequate. He had that touchdown, first game of the season. Beautiful touchdown, by the way. Gave us a lot of hope and optimism for him. Then all of a sudden, you don't hear anything from him for the entire year. And now here he is in training camp. You got CeeDee Lamb coming in making plays. You've got this great wide receiver core. You got to step your game up a little bit. You got to do something different from last year because now you've got all these studs coming in here from college, and you've also got two studs that were already here in Gallup and in Cooper. So I guess he just didn't step his game up.
Yeah, and then if you factor in the fact that Cedric Wilson was healthy and really didn't – he was one of the stars of training camp. It kind of goes under the radar, but he had a really good training camp. Former, I believe it was 6th-round pick, Boise State. And then Noah Brown kind of came out of nowhere and had a good camp. So there's your 5 right now. So now they're questioning at wide receiver, are you good with 5, or do you want to keep a 6th guy? And so we'll see where that decision goes.
I'll point out we are on Periscope as usual. I'm monitoring Periscope, so if you have any comments, any questions, I can pass them along. I'm also monitoring Twitter as well. I'm at CBS 11 Bill Jones or Mick Shots. You can follow along there and ask any questions as we go along. So at the wide receiver position, Mickey, you're thinking they keep 5, obviously the big 3, Cedric Wilson and Noah Brown, and what happens with Ventel Bryant?
Yeah, we'll see with his injury situation with the knee. I mean, he might be a guy that you say, gosh, I really liked him. I can just put him on injured reserve at the final cut. And remember, injured reserve this year is a little shorter, and there's more movement that can take place there. So they may try to keep his rights because I think that they liked what he could do. Yeah, and he was another guy that would, the reason he was active at the end of the year, he was a special teams guy. And that was something that, like I said, Devin Smith wasn't. And Cedric Wilson, he would be one of their top 2 punt returners if you figure CeeDee Lamb, if they're going to allow him to do that. But if they don't want him to do it full time, then Cedric Wilson was doing it some last year. So, 5 for sure, and then we'll see where I'm not sure anybody else is. John V. Johnson had a really nice last couple practices. I don't know if that's going to be enough to get him on the 53-man roster, but I think it could get him on the practice squad. And remember, the practice squad's expanded this year to 16 guys. And you have 4 spots that have no limit on accrued seasons. So you could put a veteran on there if he clears waivers.
Is it 4 or 6? I thought it was 6 spots.
Or 6 spots, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, and so, that's huge. But they can protect up to 4 each week, right?
Correct.
And then the other aspect, maybe we go through this practice squad situation. It's all because of COVID. I mean, you got a 53-man roster. They cut down 2 on Saturday. Your game day roster is going to be 55, so there's 2 players that can be promoted from the practice squad to the game day roster, and then you can put them back on the practice squad without them having to clear waivers for the coming week, right?
Right, and if you keep 8 offensive linemen active on game day, you can stretch that to 48-man roster for the game day instead of 46.
Yeah, wow. So anyway, and that's so it's going to be very interesting. Of course, the cut down is on Saturday afternoon, and then they clear waivers by noon on Sunday, and then that's when the 16-man practice squads are being put together. It's going to be interesting with veteran players. I mean, you can be a crusty old 15-year veteran.
Easy on that crusty old, okay?
and be on the practice squad. I like that.
No, you're exactly right. So the waiver claim ends at 11 o'clock, and then at noon you can start signing guys to your practice squad. And, Bill, that was one reason, and, you were there Sunday night, and you understood what they were doing. One reason why, if you're going to put 16 on your practice squad, you're probably not poaching off somebody else's because you haven't seen those guys. So you want to keep as many as your own guys probably as you can, and they just didn't want to expose those guys out there because it was being streamed. Bill Jones calling everything, so that's why there was no numbers on those jerseys, right? Because Bill would have been all over all 80 of those guys that were playing, and they didn't want to help out the opposition.
Bill, please don't help out the opposition, okay?
Well, yeah, I made sure.
You're so accurate in everything that you do. This is a time that we need you to just be.
Right. And by the way, Sean McVay, he admitted in his press conference, I think it was yesterday, that he did watch the Cowboys scrimmage. And reporters asked him about it, and he said they didn't show anything. And so, mission accomplished as far as the Cowboys are concerned.
Way to go, Bill.
I know fans out there. It had to be aggravating because you're thinking you're going to be able to watch a scrimmage. I never had advertised it myself that we're going to be seeing a scrimmage. It was Cowboys night. This is Cowboys night. This is your chance to watch Cowboys on the sideline. And the whole reason for that was answered in Sean McVay's press conference yesterday in L.A., where he said, yeah, I watched and they didn't show anything. So there you go.
Hey, those other teams pay attention to what we do here. And, we get a lot of access to do stuff on DallasCowboys.com. So, you got to watch out for that. Last year, I don't know if I told you this story. I was going up from the sideline at AT&T Stadium. The Cowboys were playing Philadelphia. And their radio analyst, former wide receiver, and he got on the elevator at the same time, and I said hi, introduced myself. I said, I remember you when you were playing. He goes, oh, I know who you are. He goes, the week of the game, we tune in to DallasCowboys.com all the time. He goes, you guys are really good. I said, yeah, we probably give
You're
away
really good at spilling
much.
all the secrets. That's what they're telling you.
Yes.
So you have to tone that down just a little bit. I got to admit, guys, I was very tickled by this little cat and mouse thing that we have going here. I mean, here we've got this dire situation here in this country, and that lays out certain rules for different teams to abide by. And here they are trying to pull the wool over everyone's eyes. And this is just gamesmanship at its finest. This is what I'm seeing right now. So we don't care what the heck's going on off the field at this point, as much as it is pretty serious. Let's see how we can sneak some plays in. Let's see how we can sneak some practices in and still be as undercover as possible while being right out front with everyone. I think that's pretty doggone ballsy coming from all the different coaches. McCarthy is one of them. I had Spags. I'm sure he didn't do it. But I thought it would be interesting to see what teams that had new systems coming in, if they played the same cat and mouse game that McCarthy did for the Cowboys. So, Spags, I'm sure you didn't do it, right?
I didn't have time, but I'll guarantee you.
You sat on your glasses. You couldn't see anything. That's
well,
right.
That's true, too. There was a lot of teams that probably didn't have scrimmages that they televised live like the Cowboys did.
Because here you have in a normal season, of course, the preseason would be an opportunity for not only new teams with new systems to come in and practice it during other squads. That's a good thing, but it also, you got to show your hand when you do something like that. Well, of course, now you don't have to show your hand. I put it like this. You could show your hand, but you just show the back of your cards. You're not showing the front of your cards. Is that how they're doing it?
Well, yeah, and think about this, Everson. You know all about paranoia, right? Because at the old practice facility with the hotel at the end of one of the field,
the Days Inn, right off of 635, right? Yes.
Yeah, Tex would buy out the second floors because he was worried the Redskins during Redskins week would have a spy up there renting a room to watch practice.
And I believe that's true, because when you start thinking about George Allen, the late George Allen, former coach of the Redskins, when you think about all the antics that he pulled while the Cowboys and Redskins were having their rivalry, I could see him doing something like that.
Do you ever have to take a cold shower at RFK after a game?
No, I have not. No, thank goodness for that. That's old school.
Walt Garrison told me the story. They came in and after the game in the shower, the hot water was turned off, and he said, "I ain't getting in there," and he just kind of got on the plane with all the grime on him.
Probably in his uniform, if you know Walt Garrison.
You know, about spying on other teams or whatever, there's all sorts of different ways that teams can get information about other teams. And Rich Dalrymple, prior to the Cowboys night broadcast the other night, reminded me of a story from Super Bowl 28. Jimmy Johnson, that was the year that the Cowboys, there was only 1 week in between the conference championship game and the Super Bowl, so the Cowboys went straight to Atlanta for that week. And so one day that week, Jimmy Johnson was in his hotel room, probably drinking a Heineken or two, and it had his TV on, and there was a television report. There was a TV reporter who was broadcasting from the Bills practice site. You could see the Buffalo Bills practicing in the background there. And so Jimmy starts looking a little bit closer at the screen, not paying any attention to the reporter, what he was saying. He was looking at what's going on with the Bills back there. And he sees them run a shovel pass to Thurman Thomas. Jim Kelly with a shovel pass to Thurman Thomas. And he said, "Whoa, wait a second, what is that?" So he called Butch Davis up and said, "Butch, in all our work on the Bills, have we seen them throw a shovel pass?" And Butch said, "No, they have not run a shovel pass. There's no time this season they run a shovel pass." Okay, so fast forward to Sunday in the Super Bowl, and the Bills run a shovel pass, and James Washington was right there to put a stop to it. They had a similar play later in the game that wasn't a shovel pass, but it was a similar concept, and Leon Lett forced a fumble. James Washington picked it up and ran 50 yards for a touchdown. 2 huge plays in the game, but that shovel pass was something that they picked up just off a local TV broadcast.
Well, Bill, let me tell you opposite paranoia of the Bills. So when they were in the Super Bowl the year before playing the Cowboys, it was in Minneapolis, right? And they were practicing indoors at the University of Minnesota, and I was the pool reporter for the AFC team, so I got to watch practice and just basically write a sanitized report. Well, the Bill Polian and their security guys saw the lights come on the second floor where the Minnesota coaches' offices were, and they went crazy. They went and found somebody to go up there, close those curtains, and turn the lights on, right? And I was like, oh, wow. So the next year, they're practicing at Southern Cal. And the Southern Cal football field they were practicing on, at the end of it was the campus pool.
Yep.
They wanted them to shut down the high dive because they were worried that somebody would have been spying on the practice, right? And so I'm watching this, and they're going nuts. And then the next thing I hear is there was a dormitory, a high-rise dorm, and there were students out on the balcony that overlooked the field. They wanted them to shut down that dormitory. Don't let them out there. And I'm thinking, you ought to be a little bit more worried about stopping Emmitt Smith than worrying about the students that probably don't even have any idea what's going on that field. And I was right, because they didn't worry about Emmitt Smith or Troy.
Well, I mean, you talk about the shovel pass, you talk about all of that. It didn't make much of a difference in the game. I mean, those were big plays, Bill, as you mentioned. They turned out to be, but to me, those were just stat plays. By that time, the game was pretty much already out of hand.
Well, no, this is the game in Atlanta. This was the close one in Atlanta.
Not
the one
interesting.
in Pasadena.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, the Bills needed to be more concerned about that TV reporter doing a stand-up. right.
Could you imagine someone on a high dive with a big camera on his shoulder?
Yeah.
Trying to get.
And you know how laid back people in L.A. are. I'm sure those students had no clue what was going on.
Yeah,
but I was interested in watching it, right? And I remember, they practiced pretty light, and I know Jimmy had them knocking heads over at UCLA. And so I want to say it was the Thursday practice, maybe it was Friday, and they weren't in pads. And I looked out on the field, and Shane Conlon made eye contact with the coaches on the sideline, and it was like the practice was running a little long, and he held up his wrist like this, and he had a watch on, and it was like, hey, time to quit. And I'm going, this team's in trouble.
Oh, yeah. It's not like they hadn't lost one Super Bowl already.
Yeah, no, they had lost two already.
And they're on their way to two more.
That's
All right,
right.
we're just getting started here on Mixed Shots. When we come back in a moment, just how full will Dak Prescott's plate be this season?
Hey there, Cowboys fans. With Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery, cleaning your clothes has never been more convenient. Simply sign up at your local store, set out your dirty clothes, and one of our Tide Cleaners professionals will come directly to your home for a totally contactless experience. Your clean garments will be returned promptly the next scheduled delivery day, so skip the errand and enjoy life, not laundry. Visit TideCleaners.com or your local store to sign up for Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery today.
Make the most of summer with Ford, America's best-selling brand, during the Ford Summer Sales Event. With great offers on a huge selection of Ford SUVs and the largest selection of truck inventory to choose from. Get huge offers across the Ford lineup. So grab the family and head out. Ford's helping you make the most out of summer. It's easier now during the Ford Summer Sales Event. Based on 2019 calendar year total sales. Based on Autodata compact and full-size stock inventory as of June 2020.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Back to Mixed Shots.
Looking for something to change up your dinner routine? Help support local Frisco businesses by choosing one of the Star District restaurants. For information on delivery, takeout, curbside pickup, and dine-in availability, visit thestardistrict.com. As we continue here on Mixed Shots, Bill Jones with Mickey Spagnola and Everson Walls, as yes, the Cowboys, is it now 10 days away? Yep, it's September 3rd, September 13th, the opener against the Rams in that brand new stadium in LA, and then the home opener the following week against the Atlanta Falcons. It will be here before you know it, and basically, Mickey, they've started preparations on the on the Rams, and Mike McCarthy with his press conference at 7:15 sharp this morning. I know you were tuned in for it, weren't you, Mickey?
I was sitting there watching it, as a matter of fact.
You were sitting there.
there.
So this was like an in-person.
Well, no, it wasn't in person, but we've
but it was in the press conference room.
Yeah, it was.
Reporters were there.
They've got a new system now. Instead of just calling into the WebEx number, they've set up a spot in socially distanced in the press conference room with a big screen, and I believe Mike can see us and we can see him, and it's a little bit more organized, so everybody's not talking over each other trying to ask a question.
So on a regular basis during the season, are they going to be 7:15 a.m. press conference?
No, I hope to God this was the last one. That's an early wake-up call, by the way. I guess you can watch it at home, but then by the time it's over, you got to rush here for the start of the 8 o'clock practice. So I usually get here around 10 to 7 o'clock in the morning, which means with a half-hour commute, I was getting up at 5:30 in the morning to get here. And we thought we were done with him, but he surprised us and had another early one today. But I think normally they're going to practice at, I think, 10:30, 11:30, whatever the Cowboys were doing last year. I think 11:15. Those will be the normal morning practices. And, he likes to go outside, so they rushed to get that field that had a fungus on it out of there and laid down an entirely new sodded field like in 2 days. And it's ready to go, and they practiced on it today.
Did practice outside?
Yes, okay. Absolutely.
Okay. This is all while the rain was happening and all of that?
They welcomed the rain the other day because that new sod was sitting there. I guarantee you those blades of grass were clapping to get all that free water like that.
There's a reason there was a hole in the roof of Texas Stadium.
Yeah, for that nice grass, that nice natural grass we had on the floor. Yeah.
Good Lord knew that sod was in and needed some rain, and so the rains came this week.
Well, here's what I want to know. Here's what I'd love. I want to know here about you and Jerry Spags. I mean, you guys were like squeezing each other's. You guys were squeezing each other's apples before the social distancing and everything was going on. No more intimate meetings.
I'm glad you were reading because, everybody, and Jerry talks about all the protocols they go through and, the testing that people have to do here that are around the team each morning when they come into the facility if you're in Tier 1 or Tier 2, and then masking up, right? And so and Bill knows when we walk around the hallways here, you got to have your mask on. So I was getting in the elevator the other day, and the door, it was like, oh, wait, hold on. It was Jerry, and he was getting in the elevator at the same time, and he had his mask on. So don't think just because you own the place, you don't have to, go through all the protocols. And we stood on each side of the elevator because the sign said no more than 2 people in the same elevator. And so Jerry and I rode up together, but he had his mask on.
Okay, Mickey, what did you make out of what Dak Prescott had to say at his press conference yesterday? In particular, you wrote about it in Mick Shots, the fuller plate that appears that he may have this season.
Yeah, it's, everybody keeps asking about the changes in the offense. And, every time Dak or Mike answers the questions, it's like, we're going to use a lot of what we did last year and just kind of add to it, right? And why not? The offense was pretty good. The problem was
it was pretty good.
They moved the football. They just didn't score enough when they got in the red zone, right?
Yep,
but it was true. The number 1 offense in the National Football League, the number 2 passing offense. So when Dak was trying to explain what might be different, his explanation was, I'm getting more control of what we're doing on the field, like in 2-minute drills, calling my own plays during the game, getting the plays that I really like and coordinating with Kellen Moore. And it sounds like Mike McCarthy's kind of encouraging that to give him a little bit more authority. And, we forget about it because it seems like he just got here yesterday. This is his 5th season. This is a guy that and has started every game for 4 years. So we're talking about an experienced quarterback, and so they're giving him, sounds like, more leeway in decision making in game and on the field when it comes to play calling.
And we can talk about Dak and the offense and all of the excellence that we had seen last year, and even some of the mistakes that we were able to view. But let's just face it, guys, and we always try and build up a particular facet of the game or a particular individual in a ball game. We dwell on either their greatness or we dwell on their failures. What I learned all while I played is that I don't care how great you are as a quarterback, you're going to have some help. And if you don't have help, you're going to be great all by yourself. And that does not lead to wins. One thing that you saw last year, Tom Brady, average season, but he played with a great defense. And that's what got them as far as they went. Anytime you see a team that is coached well with very few penalties, they might have a culture of being a smart team that doesn't shoot themselves in the foot. You can also look at other teams out there that have all three facets of the game working together: offense, defense, and special teams. How many times have you seen special teams in a critical part of a game, especially during the playoffs and where the games really have significance? Have you seen that special teams come in and put your offense in a great position or pull them out of the hole that they could have been in, whether it's for a great return or whether it's for a block, something that makes a difference in a ball game? Of course, I'm always harping on turnovers. These are things that the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL have been privy to in regards to their teammates and other facets of the game. So while we're looking at what Dak is doing, we must look at other facets of the game. We're talking about the practice teams and what you're able to keep. We're also talking about probably starters playing special teams. Because at this point, we've shown that our special teams has not, except for the kicking game, our special teams has not really shown up for us. And we leave it to our offense to make 80-yard drives every time we get the ball. There has to be a moment in this organization to where we realize that there are other facets of the game and they all go together as three. They all go together. And if we're going to go to a championship, we can't just depend on our offense. We've seen that. We must have other facets of the game working for us this season, because that's the only way you're going to get past the Baltimores, the Rams, the 49ers, all those teams that are well coached through every asset of the game, every facet of the game. We got to have that. We must.
Mickey, one of the things that I noticed in the practice on Sunday was in the 2-minute drill, it seemed to be pretty crisp. And,
yes.
So what have you noticed throughout your couple of weeks of watching the team practice in terms of the 2-minute drill?
You know what? It's almost like the entire practice is a 2-minute drill, because Mike McCarthy's big on tempo in practice. Not only tempo of running a lot of plays, but I think it also has a conditioning aspect to it, that there's not a lot of standing around. There's not a lot of times there's not a lot of huddles. They're running different guys in and out. So from a 2-minute standpoint, yeah, they do practice that. But they also, the tempo in practice picks up greatly. And it's like sometimes I catch myself writing down, they're in 2-minute. Well, they're not really in 2-minute, but it's the pace that they go at. But yeah, and the thing that stuck out to me from Sunday was the fact that he's got a lot of trust in Blake Jarwin, his tight end. He'll go to him in those 2-minute drills, and they're not little dump-off passes. He's putting them in situations to get down the field, and I don't think that's any secret, because that was his strength last year when he was catching passes. But I thought that was a good sign that Dak has confidence in his tight end, who's trying to make his way in the NFL. The other thing is using Zeke, and that's no surprise. He caught 50-some passes last year. I keep hearing people say, well, Zeke's deal was when he does his interview, it's like, yeah, I've been practicing catching the ball more. I've been practicing lining up and doing it as a wide receiver a little bit more. And it's like, oh, they're going to start throwing the ball. Well, he caught 50-some passes last year. It's not like they ignored him, and a lot of them weren't dump-off passes. So the versatility to this offense, I think, helps Bill during a 2-minute drill. And these guys seem to understand that when they catch the ball on the sideline, you get out of bounds, right? You don't turn up field like someone did the year before or 2 years before.
Well, one thing you have to realize is the Cowboys are going to need that change of pace, Bill and Spags. They're going to need that change of pace. There are times last year where even though the offense was playing great, there were times when we fell into a little bit of a lull. We just kept trying to do the same thing over and over again, falling behind, and then having to come into the second half with all of these passes and the up-tempo offense. There's a time to do that in the first half as well. I think what Coach McCarthy is doing, he's trying to work on his tempo controlling the game and not letting the opposition's defense control the tempo of the game for our offense. I think that's a really good practice demonstration. And I think it's also good that the players and offensively especially are on the same page with Dak, because there are going to be some very hectic moments out there to where we can't let that activity, that upbeating activity, mess with our thinking process. So if they can be on the same page while they're in a chaotic situation, to me that's going to bode well for us offensively.
The other thing I noticed, Bill, in practices, and especially in the individual drills with the quarterbacks, they do a lot of drills like throwing the ball off schedule. And what I mean is it's not just taking a 5-step drop or a 7-step drop or catching it in shotgun and throwing the ball. They've got them doing these drills, moving in and outside pylons and cones, moving with their feet, and then having to throw the ball on the run. And it just kind of it made me think back to Aaron Rodgers, how good he was at that, right? Yeah, how good he was at that. And maybe you can practice that. And that's one of those drills where they throw into that net, and there's 3 rectangular pockets in there, and you're supposed to throw and hit in the pocket, and you score points the more you throw in there. And he's got them moving in and out, over, and then throw the ball on the run. And in this day and age, you got to be able to throw the ball with your arm at different slots and off your wrong foot sometimes. And so that's one of the drills I've noticed that I thought was very interesting.
It's not by accident that Aaron Rodgers has been able to make those off-platform throws, different arm angles, and so forth. It's something that he's practiced through the years. And there's probably some ideas that McCarthy got in coaching Aaron Rodgers that he added to his practice regimen to be able to get work in those type of situations.
Yeah, and I haven't seen him throw those sky-high Hail Marys, though.
We don't want to get into that situation, hopefully.
Yeah, right? Only at the end of the half.
But you can imagine if the Cowboys are going to play with more tempo on offense, there has to be more on Dak's plate, because there's going to be decisions that he's going to have to make on the run.
Oh, absolutely. And, the versatility they have, even with their wide receivers, you can do a lot of different things. Same thing with your tight end. So, I think the versatility of this offense may increase. They're not running fancy plays and not a lot of gimmicks. There's only, and Everson knows this, there's only so many pass patterns you can run, right?
That's true.
And it's like you're not reinventing the wheel. It's just a matter of timing and how you call it. And he's relying on Kellen Moore more and more. And so I think that's interesting. But he also didn't want to have to change, especially without an off season. on the field without preseason games, if you can keep some continuity between your quarterback and the offensive coordinator, I think that's huge.
And as McCarthy talked about this morning, he came into his interview with the Cowboys with the feeling that he wanted to keep Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator. Obviously, he had studied the Cowboys intently throughout last season and knew a lot about Kellen Moore even before he met him. And I thought that was interesting this morning. He was talking about, he was my guy. He was one of the first decisions I made was keeping him as the offensive coordinator.
As a matter of fact, at his first interview, when he was asked about, keeping Kellen Moore, he pointed out that he goes, I was on to him before I even got this job. And he said, I had made my mind up that if I went somewhere else and he was available, I wanted to bring him on. I liked what he was doing. But I would pay for this to happen. Because what was the big criticism of the Cowboys last year? That the first play of the game or the first down, they would hand off to Zeke. If the first play of the year this year is a handoff to Zeke, I will roll on the floor laughing, okay?
What will you do again? What is it?
I said I will roll on the floor laughing. Like that was the problem. That's why that was the problem with the offense, right? Because they handed the ball to Zeke too much. Mm-hmm. And now the question is, well, with all these receivers and throwing the ball, will Zeke ever touch the ball? And it's like, this is the best running back Mike McCarthy's ever had.
All right, when we come back here on Mick Shots, Mickey, I want you to cut down this roster for me.
Oh, okay.
And there's much more to get to as well.
Here's all my notes right now if you want to see them.
But Spags, you have no notes on what I asked you to do.
Yeah. To check what the other 4 teams with new coaches were doing in the offseason.
Spags is like, I'll get right on that, Walls. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Time just flies for some reason. I don't understand.
So the question again, Everson, is what?
We wanted to find out if all of the other teams that had new systems and new coaches coming in to this year, if they were playing the same cat and mouse games that Coach McCarthy did in regards to no numbers and no names on the back of the jerseys.
All right, I was told by our crack producer, Chris Beam, that we were not going to break just yet. And so, Chris, let me know when we are going to. We are now. Okay. All right. So, we're back with more Mick Shots in just a moment.
Hey there, Cowboys fans. With Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery, cleaning your clothes has never been more convenient. Simply sign up at your local store, set out your dirty clothes, and one of our Tide Cleaners professionals will come directly to your home for a totally contactless experience. Your clean garments will be returned promptly the next scheduled delivery day, so skip the errand and enjoy life, not laundry. Visit TideCleaners.com or your local store to sign up for Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery today.
Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Want to show your Texas and team pride too? You can. By purchasing your own Stetson, you can look just like how the flag guys do on field at every home game. Stetson hats, the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys, and your favorite football team.
Get yours today at shop.dallascowboys.com or at stetson.com.
What do you call a group of grown men and women who get together every week, proudly wearing the star, to share a 3-hour-long ritual of cheering, shouting at the TV, and raising their Miller Lite together while yelling, "How about them boys?" You call it Miller Time and Cowboys Nation. Here's to the only beer of the Cowboys celebrating 60 years of greatness. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2020 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Hey, Cowboys fans, ready to spice up your next watch party? Bring Yo Quiero guacamole and be the game day hero. Yo Quiero means I want, and we know you want great, fresh-tasting, ready-to-serve guacamole for your home gating and tailgating events. Made with real avocados and the perfect blend of spices, it will be the star of any party. You can find us at your local Albertsons or Tom Thumb in the deli section. If you can't find it, talk to your store manager and tell them, yo quiero guacamole.
Back to Mick Shots.
Get the ultimate fan experience for the ultimate Cowboys fan. Join Dallas Cowboys United and get an exclusive DCU fan pack and member benefits. Memberships start at only $20. Visit DallasCowboys.com/United to join today. As we continue here on Mick Shots, final segment, I'm monitoring Periscope. Tweet at me at CBS11 Bill Jones if you have any questions for Mickey and Everson here. And Mickey, you write about the decisions, the roster decisions that have to be made here over the course of the next 48 hours, and you don't expect very many surprises, do you?
I really don't. I kind of went through it, and, you know, it just seems like when you look at contracts and the guarantees on some of them, I don't see where you would see a huge surprise. We talked about the wide receivers. We gave you 5. Would they keep 6? You know, I don't know. And we talked about who that might be. You figure they're going to keep 3 tight ends, right? And that's pretty cut and dry between Jarwin, Schultz, and Blake Bell. Yep. I don't think anybody's going to argue there. Quarterbacks, would you keep 3? Because DiNucci's look pretty good. They cut Clayton Thorson already. You keep 3 quarter, and I think the decision maybe at running back, we know they're going to keep 2. Do they want a third? You know, those 2 guys have looked good, but I imagine every team has a guy like that on their roster right now between Anderson and Dottle. You know, practice squad guys. Do you want a fullback? Maybe you want another full tight end instead of a fullback. Ola Nalua has looked good when he's gotten opportunities, but there haven't been that many opportunities. And then when you look at the offensive line, do you keep 10? You know, I can get to 9. I don't know who that 10th guy might be. So those are some of the decisions offensively that you certainly would have to consider.
Okay, and then if you look at the defensive side of the ball, 10 defensive linemen.
Yeah, I think
10
so.
DBs.
And I think like 9 of them seem to be, okay. The 10th one, I think you might have to decide between was it the 5th round pick, Bradley Anai, and then last year's 6th round pick, Joe Jackson. Maybe you can't have both of those. Maybe you just get one of them. And really,
Mickey, let's break it down. Let's break it down inside guys, outside guys on the defensive line. Okay,
right.
Inside, obviously, you've got Dontari Poe and Antoine Woods, Tristan Hill, Neville Gallimore. There's 4 right there. Is Tyrone Crawford, I
think he's an either.
Okay, so he's either or.
Right.
So there's 5 guys who can play inside right there.
Right.
4 that are legit or for sure inside. A 5th who's a versatile. All right, defensive end with DeMarcus Lawrence, Everson Griffin, Alden Smith. There's 3 right there. You mentioned Joe Jackson, Dorrance Armstrong. We're up to 5 there.
So I think 4 for sure with Armstrong, and then maybe either, and that's why I said
I didn't even mention Anai there. So
Anai or Jackson. Go. Yeah, I think that's what it probably comes down to there.
So I just listed 11 defensive linemen right there.
Right, and you could go long there. You go short somewhere else. You know, they only have 7 linebackers on the roster right now. You could make a case to keep them all. I think Francis Bernard, the rookie free agent, has had a nice camp. Can you get him on the practice squad? I don't know. And then what's going to happen with Sean Lee, who is yet to practice? You know, does he go on an injured list to start the season? And then you could qualify keeping Francis Bernard for sure if that happens. Or what if Sean Lee's ready to go and they just, and I love it, bubble wrapped him, another term we used to use that's no longer prevalent here in 2020. So there's that, but to me, that the linebacker thing too. I mean, that's That's a no-brainer right there. And then you get to the DBs, and I think if you look at the numbers we just talked about with 3 special teams guys, you could qualify keeping 10 defensive backs. And this one might be more up in the air than the other decisions we talked about, if you think about it. And we can go through that, Bill, if you want.
Yeah, let's go. Let's have at it.
So numerically, I'll just go from the top. You've got Darian Thompson at safety, Chidobe Awuzie, Xavier Woods, Jordan Lewis, HaHa Clinton-Dix, Darrell Worley, who can play safety or can play some cornerback, and he had been in the slot quite a bit. C.J. Goodwin had been a corner that you used basically last year as a special teams guy. Anthony Brown, Trayvon Diggs, and then Donovan Wilson from last year, you liked him. Reggie Robinson, you drafted in the 4th round. I don't know
that gets you to 11 right there.
Yeah, that gives you 11 already. And I hadn't even brought up Chris Westry or Deontay Burton, who has shown up at times too. So, if they go long at a position and short somewhere else, it might be in the secondary, just because I think they've got a bunch of guys there that they would like to hang on to.
Especially for, like we talked about, the special teams purposes. It seems like they're trying to get a lot of starters and a lot of experience on special teams. Are any linebackers being considered to be kept on the team simply because of special teams abilities or special teams potential? Because it'd be great to have some of those studs on kick coverage and punt return and things of that nature.
Yeah, if Bernard makes the team or makes the 46 or 48, certainly he's a special teamer. Joe Thomas plays special teams.
Justin March.
Justin March is a special teamer, and then Luke Gifford would play there, although he's still not practicing. He's been nursing an injury and just kind of working on the cords. So, and then other than your 2 starters, Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch, probably not on special teams. So those other 5 guys, or 4 guys, because they're not going to put Sean Lee out there, were basically your special teams guys. So you might go, you might, instead of 6 linebackers, you might keep 7. And then there's also, what happens if somebody releases a guy and you go, oh, I would really rather have him than who I got. And so there's always that possibility. But those things don't take place, I think, until, they'll clear waivers, like I said, but it depends on when they release them.
Sunday afternoon.
Now, in regards to Thompson, now that was the DB that was making all the plays last year, making interceptions and practice and things of that nature. Am I speaking correctly?
No, it was Donovan Wilson.
That was
the
Wilson.
Rookie in training camp.
How's he looking this year?
Yeah, he hasn't got as many opportunities to play with the frontline guys. And so, but I don't think they're ready to give up on him. I mean, he is a safety. Now, they've got other guys that, can play safety, the versatility. And
can he play special teams? Is he a good special teams prospect?
When he was on the 46-man roster last year, he was a special teamer, and he was pretty darn good, too. So I would think that gives him an inside track to remaining on this roster.
Okay, when the Cowboys are scanning the waiver wire, Mickey, what position are you looking at? If you're scanning the waiver wire for this Cowboys team, which is the position you're really looking hard at?
Offensive line. Because
and specifically offensive tackle,
right? Because other than Cam Irving, who has versatility, I mean, he's actually played guard, tackle, and has had his hand on the football playing center. But after him, and with Mitch Hyatt going to have knee surgery, and we'll see what happened with Brandon Knight, I don't know that they have another guy as a tackle that they would want to keep on the roster as a backup, or even a guy that's a developmental guy. Because if you look at it, I mean, Terrence Steele, I mean, he's one of the few guys left that's played tackle.
Okay, so let me ask you
And then they also
this.
have Isaac Alicorn, or Khan.
From Mexico. Yep.
From Mexico, yeah.
who's the international player. All right, let me ask you this, because it's basically on this day. This would be the day of the last preseason game, Thursday. It seems like every other year the Cowboys are making a trade that's a quote-unquote minor trade around the last preseason game as you get closer to cutdown day. All right, say there's a young player, offensive tackle on a team that you're interested in. You want to, if you were to work a trade and you're trading from another position group, where could the Cowboys work a trade like that? Is it from that defensive line depth that you have, where you might be able to swing something?
Maybe the defensive backfield. It does look a little crowded if somebody needed something there. For the defensive line that we mentioned, the guys that you might trade wouldn't have played that much.
Yeah, you're talking to Joe Jackson.
Right. One of the interesting guys is 79, Justin Hamilton. He has shown up at times in practice. But again, I don't know, what you could get for a guy like that, and he may be a perfect guy, perfect candidate for your practice squad. You may not want to, and as you say, if you think you have excess, and you don't think you're going to get much for him, you might roll the dice and say, well, I can get him on the practice squad and I can keep him.
I tell you what, guys, I still have nightmares, and I'm sure that Dak Prescott does as well, of the Atlanta Falcons game when his backside was never protected. We allowed a defensive lineman for the Falcons to make the Pro Bowl in one game.
He made his career.
I don't think he's gotten 4 sacks since he played against the Cowboys. So we understand how important that tackle position is. Would we, let's say, God forbid, Tyrone goes down again, we're looking at some problems. I think the problem in the Falcons game was we didn't make the adjustment. That coaching staff did not make the adjustment. I think it would be different here with this coaching staff, but at the same time, that's going to hurt you having to relieve other areas just so that you can shore up the protection from your quarterback's backside. You think they would be willing to go as deep as into our wide receiver position if we had to give up something? That we would go as deep as a wide receiver position because that's so attractive for us.
And I get that, Everson, but think about this. If you've got a good backup offensive tackle, you probably don't have 2 of them. And I think those are that position there is so hard to find. And
it is.
Your point's good, though, because think about this. So say, Collins has had some back issues that have flared up. They flared up last year. They flared up in the offseason. Say he's not ready to go for the first game. Okay, so Cam Irving's starting. Now, who's your backup tackle? And when you look at the list, it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe one of those guards have to move out and help me out at tackle.
Brandon Knight started a game last year.
Right, but as I said earlier, that he looked like he might have done a little something to himself today. Yep. Mitch Hyatt's gone, so the only other tackles are Cody.
Is Doug Free still available?
Cody Wickman is the only other tackle, and Wyatt, or not Wyatt Miller, they cut him. Terrence Steele. Those are the only 2 other tackles that are healthy that are on this roster. So I would keep my eyes open for that, but chances are people aren't giving up on a developmental tackle because they're so hard to find.
Yeah, every team's got the same problem at offensive tackle. So, Mickey, what's our schedule next week?
Next week, I think we're supposed to start a daily podcast Tuesday, and right now it's at 1:30.
Okay.
And that might be subject to change.
But all the podcasts go daily starting Tuesday.
Starting Tuesday, right? We got other stuff to do to labor on Labor Day, right?
Yeah. So
can you believe? Even Mike McCarthy said it today. I can't believe Labor Day is already here.
It just goes to show the tunnel vision. Also, that that coaches have. That, oh, wow, it's Labor Day.
Yeah, coaches love Labor Day.
And one other interesting thing I saw the other day in practice when they went inside at the Ford Center, the coaches were practicing. They were up in their coaches' booth with the headsets on when they went into some of the team drill, and especially when you brought up the 2-minute drill. They were up there corresponding down to. So Mike Nolan looks like he's going to be in the coach's box. I think he likes being up there. Kellen Moore likes
at the practice the other night.
Right, and yep. Kellen Moore likes it to be on the sideline. But they were practicing, and it was interesting to watch the operation in there because there had to be, in my mind, I'm counting 5 guys on the front row and 3 on the back, and they all had some input on what was going on. It was quite enlightening that what goes on in that coach's booth.
All right. Well, we hit the ground running on Tuesday with Mick Shots, and it can't get here fast. Well, we can wait until Tuesday. We can enjoy one long Labor Day weekend, stay safe, and then we hit the ground running on Tuesday. And I can't wait for the start of this season. And next week we've got our bold predictions that we will make for this season. So Everson, I know you'll have some bold predictions for this season.
I'm ready.
We need to hit on some bold predictions every day next week to get.
And Everson, you need to bone up on those Rams too.
I'll get right on that, Spags.
All right. I want you to study Van Jefferson, the rookie out of Florida, okay? Wide receiver for the Rams.
All right.
Okay, that does it for Mick Shots for this week, and we will see you again on Tuesday for more Mick Shots.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?